Yeah, and I think one of the really great stories of these results are the T-levels. So we've seen increase in the number of students taking T-levels. We've seen increase of students passing and getting merits and distinctions. And these are really high quality industry-focused qualifications, 45-day placements in industry. And we're seeing great outcomes for students taking T-levels. And it shows that we really can develop these high-quality qualifications. The kind of next stage is the creation of V-levels. So these are new vocational qualifications that will be kind of equivalent in size to an A-level, linked to occupational standards. Again, very high quality with real clarity for parents, for students, for colleges and for employers about what those qualifications mean.
Today's A-level results bring record university acceptances, higher overall marks and a widening gender gap. For the second consecutive year, boys outpaced girls in getting grades A and above. That extends their average from 0.2 to 0.9 percentage points. We're now joined by the School Standards Minister, Georgia Gould. Good afternoon, Georgia.
Good afternoon. Great to be here.
So let's begin with that difference there between boys outpacing girls. It used to be the other way round here. What do you think has changed?
So it's important to put it in the context that across the board, girls are still outperforming boys in A-levels, but in maths in particular, we're seeing the shift that you set out. And I think, we know that we've seen some gender differences in maths throughout the system, and it's something that we're really keen to address. We've seen more and more students taking maths, which is a positive thing. We've seen standards go up in maths, but there are these ongoing gender differences, and we want young women, girls, to feel really confident in their ability to do maths, to enjoy maths, to see maths application. And we've got a lot of support going in through maths hubs, through particular further maths support focused on girls, and STEM ambassadors coming into schools so girls can see the opportunities that maths brings.
So how is the government ensuring, Georgia, that state schools students are not at a structural disadvantage compared to their private school peers when they're competing for high demand university places and competitive degree apprenticeships?
Yeah, and I think these results are really positive, and they show more young people taking T-levels, more young people taking A-levels, and those increases in grades that you mentioned, and that is because of the hard work of young people, their families, teachers around the country. And I get to travel to see schools around the country, and I know how much time and care teachers put into supporting young people in schools and in colleges to provide that extra pastoral support, to really push young people and give them those wide range of opportunities, whether that's opportunities in further maths or deeper reading or to explore history. That's the work that our teachers are doing, and why we're putting so much emphasis on supporting schools and supporting education.
Now, the COVID pandemic certainly skewed a lot of the grading baselines and boundaries here. There's been a lot of adjustments in the year after the pandemic. So how can you assure students that the grade boundaries are fairly reflecting their cohort's performance without unfairly penalising them?
So we did see in the years where there were teacher assessed grades, some of those issues. But where there are national examinations, there's a huge amount of work that goes into ensuring that they are robust and that they are of the same standards. So Ofqual oversee that system. They, once the papers have been sat, there's a really rigorous process that goes into testing those boundaries and setting them at the right place to ensure that if you are seeing increases as we have this year, it is because students are genuinely attaining better because of their hard work, because of the support of teachers, not because of changes in grade inflation between years. And I think there's been Ofqual have done a lot of work on this, and we can be really confident in the robustness of the grades, and I'm really proud of the achievements of our young people.
Now, since Andy Burnham became Prime Minister, Georgia, he talked a lot about alternative education to university, which which is a nut we've never really been able to crack in this country since the Second World War, since the comprehensivisation. Lots of different reasons, we get into that there. But what is the government actively doing to promote those more vocational routes? Because apprenticeships are often promoted as an alternative to traditional degrees, but the places remain heavily oversubscribed.
Yeah, and I think one of the really great stories of these results are the T levels. So we've seen increase in the number of students taking T levels. We've seen increase of students passing and getting merits and distinctions. And these are really high quality industry focused qualifications, 45-day placements in industry. And we're seeing great outcomes for students taking T levels, and it shows that we really can develop these high quality qualifications. The kind of next stage is the creation of V levels. So these are new vocational qualifications that will be kind of equivalent in size to an A level, linked to occupational standards. Again, very high quality with real clarity for parents, for students, for colleges and for employers about what those qualifications mean. But you're absolutely right, not enough has been done to make sure that the vocational pathways from 14 on to work are high quality, rigorous, and that there's real clarity for students about those pathways. And this is something that the new Prime Minister has as a huge priority, and I think it's a massively exciting opportunity to shape this. And we've seen some of that started, but there's lots more work to do over the coming months and years.
But when it comes to universities, Georgia, we've got to think about the fact that students are racking up a lot of debt when they will take out their loans to pay their tuition fees, and particularly those who have already been through university on the Plan 2 scheme. The debt pile is enormous. They're being stifled by it for many years. And again, we've heard from the last government and now the Burnham government that this might be something we're going to look at. When is there going to be some kind of concrete action on that debt pile? Because students heading off to university in September will be aware that they're facing a very difficult jobs market. They're going to rack up a lot of debt. And if the interest in it is going to be too high, they may never come out from underneath it.
Yeah, so I think one of the really positive parts of what we're seeing today is we have seen record numbers of students being accepted at university, and more disadvantaged students going to university, which is a really positive thing. I think it's important to distinguish between the Plan 2 loans that are the ones that often people in their 20s and 30s have, and the Plan 5 loans that students will be taking out that are going to university today that don't see that kind of increase around interest rates. There's a kind of cap on those increases, and for those students, it's really important to remember how these loans are different. So they don't start paying them until they reach a certain salary. Those loans only increase as their salaries increase. And if at the end of that loan payment they aren't able to pay back the full amount, that's written off by government as an investment in those young people's future. So they don't work like other kinds of loans in the system. And I think it's important for students and families to have that reassurance. But you had a question about the Plan 2 loans, and you'll know that we've taken action this year to cap the interest rates because of concerns around how high interest rates might go, and it's an area that we are continuing to look at.
Thank you very much. That was the School Standards Minister, Georgia Gould. Coming up after 5, political strategist Joe Tanner will be here to talk about the A-level results.